Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight on our Top Leaders in Network Marketing call. We have a very, very special guest tonight. We have Theresa Fisher that will be joining us tonight, and I'm really, really excited to hear more about her story, more about how she got involved in the profession that we know as MLM or network marketing or direct selling, and we want to see where she came from, where she is now, and where she hopes to be in the future with the profession. So thank you so much, Theresa, for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me, Jenny. I'm so happy to be here with you.
We're so happy to have you. So let's start off with who you are, who Theresa is. What was your childhood like?
My childhood was awesome. Really was. My sister and I were raised by my mom. My dad was in my life, but truly it was my mom that really raised us. So I learned from a very young age all about independence and a strong work ethic and the importance for women to be able to support themselves and not to be relying on anyone else. And so I just remember, that was really profound to me early on. And it's just that, my childhood was awesome. We didn't have a lot of extras, but I felt like I had everything I needed. I was super loved by both my parents, had a great upbringing, had lots of fun. Life was simple, and but I was just a happy kid. So it didn't take much to make me happy. So I was lucky that way. So yeah, and my grandparents were a huge part of my upbringing. I spent a lot of time with them in my summers, at occasions. I got to spend 2 weeks with them every summer. My mom would put us on a Greyhound and send us in their direction, like way back in the day. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is such an amazing adventure. I can still feel it just thinking about, watching out the window and so excited for our adventure ahead. So yeah, I had a great childhood.
Was your mom involved in like direct network marketing or MLM at all? Or did she work a traditional job?
Funny that you should ask, because actually my mom was your Avon lady for a little while. And what I remember most is the tiny little lipsticks, because I had them in my little purse. And I used to love going through her kit. But, she really didn't work the business. It was more so just for the products and the fun kind of it. So no, my mom wasn't really super involved in anything like that.
So looking back in your childhood, could you remember a time where that entrepreneurial bug was kind of showing its head?
Well, I always was fiercely independent as a kid. I can remember having lots of lemonade stands and going into the kitchen and seeing what else I could sell. Raiding the cupboards and things like that. So, funny that you asked that, because I didn't really think about that till now. Yeah. Oh yeah. We would have little stands out front, my sister and I.
Yeah. And that's what happens, right? Like we don't really realize what things are until we are asked about them or reflect back on them. And a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs that I've met now, there were signs of that as they were growing up, having a lemonade stand, or if you've read Robert Kiyosaki's book, he was literally like making money. Have you read his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad? Yeah. So he was literally, so I'm just muting a line here. He was literally melting down lead and making coins out of it with his friends. So he always had that in him to make his own money and work and be an entrepreneur. And it's so funny because I never personally, being in network marketing now for almost 6 years, I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. But when I look back at my childhood, I was the kid with the lemonade stand as well. And I had a car wash, and I would charge my parents $5 to wash their car. And I would make posters and put them all around the house. So it's something I believe that's definitely in our blood. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, before you were introduced to the business and the company that you're with now, what did life look like? Where were you living? What were you doing for work? Things like that.
Well, way back then, I was living in Calgary, Alberta. And at that point, we had two young kids. And I actually had worked downtown Calgary all my life in a corporate job. I loved a 9 to 5 day. That was just comfortable for me. And so that's all I ever really knew. But when our second child came along, I realized, okay, we need two incomes. I don't want to go back to work. So I started a day home. And so I worked that. I kind of had like a short term plan. It was going to be 5 years.
Yeah.
And just to kind of get our kids through that stage when they were in school. So I was going to do that. And I made it to 2.5 years. I was looking after 5 kids under the age of 5 days a week. I was thoroughly exhausted. I I lost myself definitely through that process.
Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly, yeah. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I was probably, of course, I ran my day home like I wanted it to be for my kids, right? So that's what life looked like. It was crazy, wild, and most days were a blur, truly.
And when you were introduced to the company that you're with now and in network marketing, how did that come about? How were you introduced to either the product? Were you introduced to product first, or were you introduced to the business first?
Definitely, I was introduced to the product. Funny that my mom's going to come up in this conversation again because she was now part of a candle business, more so again for her personal enjoyment, but then she decided that she would have a table at a craft show, and that she would like me to come along and help her set it up. And so, being the wonderful, helpful daughter that I was, I went along and I helped her set up. So then I was just kind of walking around, actually, to be really honest with you, trying to avoid all tables and being sold to. I was really honestly trying to avoid everything. And a nice person stopped me and asked me if I'd ever heard of this product before, and I hadn't. And so, just being honestly polite, I stopped. But I was so grateful I did. So it was about the product first.
And what made sense for you about the product?
It was definitely something that my son really needed at the time. So right away, she found something that she had a solution for what I needed, right? And so I wasn't thinking I was looking for anything at that point, but she asked me the right question.
Interesting. Interesting. So
Mm-hmm.
she identified the need for the product for you
Yep.
instead of, because I know a lot of those vendor shows and those craft sales, there's a lot of look at this, this is what this is. And a lot of the times the vendors can take the advice of just have conversations with people, because not everything on the market is for everyone. And identifying the need in the market, identifying the need in the person, and then kind of elaborating from there and see if it's a good fit. Because at the end of the day, you know, whether you're selling or sharing, you're identifying the need for the person and filling that need. And maybe you won't find one. You know, I've certainly talked to people, and you know, I talk about bridging the gap in our nutrition, and people are like, oh, I eat 30 fruits and vegetables every single day. And I've had that. And I know that's not even possible. But I said, okay, I guess you don't need this then, right?
Right.
But definitely asking the right questions. So yeah, definitely smart lady. And it's hard when you're in those situations, because you do feel like you're being sold to or hounded, and it can be uncomfortable. So it's really awesome and a really great learning experience for you to learn how to do it in that way. So soon after that, did you meet up with the person after, have conversation, tea, or how were you introduced to the business, and how did you place your order?
So interestingly enough, it took me a while. It took me about 5 months,
Mhm.
but this person was very persistent in a kind way. She invited me out to events that were happening, and I was still very interested, but I'm someone who needs to be completely ready. So it took me time, and she did mention the business from the start. And so I was kind of rolling that around in my mind, wondering how would I possibly fit a business into my already busy life, right? Because I thought there's no way I could add one more thing. So, and I'm somebody that doesn't do things halfway. So I really needed to figure out was I going to fit this into our lifestyle, and how are we going to be able to afford this? So all these things. So it took time, but thankfully she kept following up with me. And I just told her, keep doing so because I'm going to be ready soon. So it took me some time.
Mhm. So at that show, did she get your phone number, your email, or did she friend request you on Facebook? How did that happen?
Yes. Well, because this was so long ago, I wasn't even on Facebook at that time. It was 13 years ago. So I know there was Facebook, but I was not even on it. So anyway, we just exchanged phone numbers, and she asked if she could follow up with me, and I said, absolutely, please do. And so she just kept doing that from there. So it was good.
So how soon? So about five months pass. She feels the need for the product. Did you sign up for the business to get like the product at a not a cheaper rate, but earn a discount on the product? Or were you interested in incorporating the business to your life?
To be honest with you, it was completely for the discount.
Okay.
100%. I had no thought that I would do anything with it more than just, a discount for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when did you start to see the vision? Because you're a top leader now in Canada. So when did you see that vision for yourself? How soon after you joined did you start to see that?
So I would say that it was probably, I would say it would have been the first business training I went to, because I thought, well, if I'm getting a discount with this, I should probably understand a little bit about it, because I may have some family and friends that would like to know about it. So it was probably within a few months I went to a business training. And again, still just kind of dabbling a little bit, not seeing anything too big for myself. But the thought that I did want to share it with families, our family and friends at that
So
point.
so your sponsor then, how did she bring up that training? Because, I know for me, I have a lot of people in my organization that have joined just for the discount. So there's always this uncomfortableness about saying, hey, there's this training, or hey, there's this conference, and really bringing up the business, because I do want to honor the reason why they joined. But there's a part of me that also wants to share with them that possibility. So how did she kind of circumvent that conversation to get you to that event? Do you remember?
Well, truthfully, I think it was my own self that was motivated again, because one thing I went to was it was an information session on health and nutrition, and I really loved that the company wanted to educate their people, or anybody that was interested in nutrition. So I think that's what really kind of hooked me in the beginning, because I was like, I really like knowing that I could be part of a company that wants to educate, that it's not just a selling process.
Right.
So it wasn't really hard to get me to a business event, because, like I said, I'm someone that doesn't really do things halfway. So I felt like I needed to know a little bit.
Right.
So she just simply invited me and said, come along, I'll pick you up, or I'll meet you there. So I felt comfortable knowing that she was going to be there as well. And and then as soon as I got there, I felt like, wow, what a great group of people. You could just feel it the second that you walked in the room. So I felt comfortable right from the beginning.
Right. Interesting, because you were looking at it like, I'm aligning myself with people that are on a mission to do something good in the world. And if selling a product or sharing a product goes along with that, awesome. It wasn't the motivation of, I just have this product I need to sell, and sure, it's a great thing to help people, but so it's an interesting perspective, right? Because I think a lot of people who look at the profession look at it like, you're just selling whatever out of your garage to make money. It's not really that mission and that heart behind it. So it's interesting. Right. So what did your first 90 days in the business, like when you went to that event and you decided, okay, this is something that I want to kind of get behind, what did those first 90 days look like for you?
Well, basically my sponsor and her sponsor, we basically got together and they just kind of told me, okay, so what would be really important is in your first 30 days, we have a way that you can fast track, and that'll take you to the second commission level. And it's best if you do that in your first 30 days. So I was really hesitant, to be honest with you. I was like, oh, this is not really what I want to be doing. But I thought, after seeing the education and I went to a training, I felt really good about everything. So I thought, what have I got to lose? And I should just follow what they're telling me because obviously they've been successful in the business. So, what have I got to lose really? Right. And I knew that I was very well supported by family and friends. That helped a lot. And so I decided, why not?
Right. Now
And I was really, well supported. So.
Right. So your sponsor, that's okay. Your sponsor in the business, her being a woman, was she like the top level of the company, or was she a couple of positions above you? How did that work? Yeah, no worries.
I've never had that happen.
No, no worries at all.
It's not a toddler, just a dog.
Totally fine.
Sorry. Okay. Say that again, Jenny. Sorry.
So your sponsor in the business, the woman that you met at the vendor event, was she at the top level of the company, or where did she sit?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not remembering where she sat at that point, but no, definitely not near the top.
Right.
But she was active. And so I just thought, you know what, I love the education and whatnot that I've taken in so far. So I'm just going to keep going to things.
Right.
Because I was also feeling like I was going to get personal growth as well through this. And so I just kept saying to myself, well, what have I got to lose by, I'm growing as a person, I'm having a good time, I'm enjoying myself. So yeah. So I just decided I was going to plug in and see what they had to offer.
So after that first 30 days, did you get to that second commission level?
I did.
And what did that look like in terms of income? And how many people were you, I don't want to use the word affecting, but how many differences in people's lives were you making? Because I mean, after all, knowing the product that you work with and the company you work with, they're, like we had talked about, their mission is to inspire healthy living, right? So by earning money and by working your way up, you're affecting and helping others' health. So what did that first 30 days look like in terms of income?
I would say it was a couple $100. So, it wasn't a lot, but it was definitely enough to help us pay for our product. And that was really my very first goal.
Yeah. So in your first 30 days, you were able to do what you sought out to do, which was earn a discount, if not get your product for free, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then what did the first 90 days of your business look like? Did you continue to work?
I believe that I did the fast track and then probably just coasted for a little while. Again, I was running my day home, and I think at that point it was now summertime, so I had all the kids all day long. So it was very much a blur at that point.
Yeah.
So probably didn't do a lot from there. But was definitely excited to continue going to the events and anything that was offered, because also I was tied up at home literally all the time. So I didn't have any outings and I didn't really have a social life. So at this point, I'm like, well, this looks like a really good, safe social circle to be in. Yeah. And so that's where I started to look for that. It was also filling that need. And I was meeting a lot of great people too.
And when did you get to the first leadership level? Because there's, I believe, 3 leadership levels, correct? When did you get that? When was it that you made the decision, okay, this is something that I could possibly make a full-time income with? How long was that?
It was probably now a year into the business.
Okay.
And we decided that I could not physically or mentally do the day home anymore. And my husband also was working way too hard. And we decided that it was time to move. And we moved to a teeny tiny little town in the middle of nowhere with no jobs.
Oh, wow.
And it was actually at that point that I really made a decision that this could be something bigger, and that when I moved, I decided that this is what I was going to share that I do for a living.
Wow. And how long from the point that you started the business, how long did it take you to get to the top level of the company?
Oh my. Well, I guess that probably would have been 8 years.
8 years. Okay.
So my process was slow and steady.
Hmm.
Definitely slow and steady. And I think that's one of the most important things to understand is that nobody's journey looks the same.
Hmm.
And I was very fortunate that I could do it alongside of working casual. My husband was now self-employed. So we were just really, simplifying our lives and wanting to spend as much time with our kids as we could while they were growing up. And this business allowed me to do that.
Hmm.
And so it was fulfilling a much bigger vision than I ever started out with at this point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And
Mhm.
what did that look like when you got to the top level in the company? We don't have to get into absolute, like, dollars and cents, but what did that look like for your income? Was it like compared to doing the day home? Did you double that? Did you triple that? Like, how did that look? Or were you
The
just
day
comfortable that you just were good?
The day home, from the day home days, I definitely had tripled my income for sure. I was now able to, contribute fully to our monthly bills.
Yep.
And one of the biggest reasons that I worked at my casual position was because I was guaranteed benefits when I worked a certain amount of hours.
Okay.
So one of the biggest things too for me was achieving the top level now provided us benefits. And so that to me was complete freedom.
Absolutely. Especially because your husband's self-employed as well, right?
Hmm.
So having those benefits like dental and vision, prescription, such a big deal. Such a big deal. And I can't think, I'm sure there are, but I don't know of any network marketing companies that offer that. And I think that's really, really something that's unique with your company.
Yes,
Um, so what would you say, what are 3 lessons? Because we talked a little bit about personal development. What are 3 lessons that you have learned while working this business and being part of the company?
definitely the number one, patience. I like to say I'm a patient person, but this has taught me patience beyond any means that I could have ever understood. And most of all, patience for my own self
Yeah.
to begin with, because in order for me to be successful in this business, I had to be patient with myself. And that's because I had to go through a lot of personal growth in my journey to feel confident in doing this type of work. As I mentioned way back, my comfort level was 9 to 5. I like to start and to finish, and I liked everything in a nice little neat box, and I like to know what was going to happen every step of the way. And this is completely not that.
Yeah.
So, so I had to step way out of my comfort zone, and that really grew me. Patience for people,
Mhm.
right? Not everyone has a need.
Mhm.
Not everyone, or they think they don't. Not everyone wants to hear what you have to say. Even if they listen, they may not decide that it's for them in the end. So just patience for people. Um, and that learning that my job is simply to share what we have to offer.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Acting as a consultant, right?
Yes,
This is something that could help you. Let me tell you what it is, and kind of leaving it with
right,
that. Yeah. Yeah.
right.
I like that approach to the business. Um, what was your worst day? What's the worst day where you either just thought that's it, I'm done, or I want to quit, or I can't believe that happened? What's your worst day?
Having to reset my goals a million times,
Okay.
a million times. And, learning to discipline my own disappointments.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, this business has truly been about massive personal growth. Um, I had to learn that it was not up to me to convince anyone of anything, right? Talk to more people,
Mm-hmm.
meet new people all the time, step way out of your box, way out of your comfort zone. You have to leave your house,
Yeah.
right? No one's going to come knocking on my door. Well, I shouldn't say no one, but
Yeah. I
you
know.
definitely have to, yeah. So, and that I was in charge, it was up to me, not anyone else, not my team. It was up to me.
And coming from that 9 to 5 comfort zone mentality, how did you achieve that? Like, how did you make that jump? Because I myself like that order and schedule as well. That's why I got into teaching. I knew the school started at this time. I had my tea breaks at this time. I knew it ended at this time. I could plan things. And now it's just kind of like the schedule's open, but it's scary at the same time because that's up to me to fill that. So how did you have that mind shift, and what shifted it? Did you get like addicted to having your own business and just have that freedom, or what was it? Yeah.
Totally got addicted. I got addicted to the education, the information, the personal growth, the learning. I got addicted to being able to set my own schedule and realizing I could do whatever I want, whatever I want. I could be at anything my kids needed me to be at. I could go anywhere my husband needed me to go. I could help him at any minute. And I think by having that casual position that was a 9 to 5, it kept me humble.
Mm.
And it kept me really watching that, to have time freedom is probably the biggest win ever.
Yeah.
Nobody could tell me what to do or when to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I really started to realize. So it was worth stepping out of my comfort zone for that.
Yeah.
For sure. 100%.
And you know what? Sometimes, because sometimes when we look at the benefits of this type of profession, we think about ourselves and our own family. And sometimes I think, well, if I don't share this, or if I don't do this event, or if I don't share this call, who's out there that needs this more than anything? And this is going to be such a blessing for them. And by me being selfish, or me just thinking about, I'm too tired to do that today or tonight, who am I denying this? Do you know what I mean? Isn't that strange though?
Totally.
Because I know for me, I was looking at having to return to a job and put 2 babies in daycare. Non-verbal baby, they were 18 months old or not, no, sorry, they weren't. They were 14 months old. And I just thought, I can't do that. I'm uncomfortable doing that. So I'd rather be uncomfortable sharing something with somebody than be uncomfortable and go to a job while my kids, who can't tell me what's going on in their daycare, are being cared for. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like
Totally.
choosing which is more uncomfortable and kind of going from there. So what makes you so special? How did you get to be where you are? Why are you one of
Oh my goodness.
the top leaders?
Well, truthfully, um, I'm somebody who really, really loves people.
Yeah.
And I love to help. Like since a little kid, right? I was always the one picking up the underdog or being there trying to help. So I guess, you know what? I'm a kind, patient, and willing to help anyone I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I just never got out of line because I just figured the time was going to pass no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I stop doing this? And what else would I do?
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine stepping away ever, no matter what.
Yeah. 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 So what's next for you?
I will continue to always see who I could possibly help make a difference with.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were saying, I never want anyone to turn to me and say, why didn't you share this with me? Like that scares me more than anything. That scares me more than sharing, right? I
Yeah.
can't imagine someone saying, what? You never told me about this? So
Like,
I just want to continue.
it's choosing your discomfort. What's more uncomfortable, sharing this or knowing that it could have really made a difference in someone's life and I was too scared to share it, right?
Exactly.
What's your next goal?
My next goal, I really want to see my team move ahead.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for me. I'm more somebody, I get way fired up about seeing other people,
Mhm.
and not just my team, anybody, my sideline buddies, you. So many people that you can help, right? And that's the wonderful thing about this is it's not just your team, it's not just yourself. Um, it's a blessing to help others.
Yeah.
And I feel that we're able to do that through this business.
Mhm. And I was talking to my friend Tammy today, and I said, if I know I'm going to go home alone, say, my husband's off and the kids are at Nana and Papa's, I'll have a bowl of cereal, I'll have some toast, I'm good. But if I know that my husband and kids are home, I'm going to make the big dinner and I'm going to do 10 pots and pans because I am of the mind of I'd rather do more for others than myself, right? And I agree. Of course, it would be an honor to be a top leader like yourself, but to be able to help lift and others up as well. I think that is more of an accomplishment and more of a goal. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. You're such a sweet
Thanks, Jen.
soul. Um, no, I so appreciate you taking the time and sharing with us, your journey. And yeah, and I'm excited to see what happens next for you and for the team. And yeah, see some leaders up there shining as bright as you. So thank you, Theresa.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Bye, everyone.
Have a great day.